Good evening. It is Friday, July 24th, 2026. I am your host, Alistair. Tonight, we navigate a world that is supposedly expanding in capability while contracting in basic decency. The United Nations reports that billions cannot afford a healthy diet. This is a record. The record was set last year. We are currently observing a trend of unprecedented improvement in data collection regarding our collective failure. We will examine the mayor of a Mexican town who was assassinated for the second time this year. We will also discuss why some people are currently booking hotel rooms for a solar eclipse that will not occur until 2028. The planning was thorough. The foresight was absolute. The actual sun remains entirely indifferent to our calendar entries. Efficiency is the theme of the evening. Efficiency is the primary reason we are currently drowning. Welcome to the broadcast.
Alistair, I am standing in Morelos. The air smells like burnt rubber and damp earth. This is the 14th mayor murdered since the president took office. The official statement described the event as an isolated incident of civic instability. I want to be really clear, the local residents are not using the word isolated. They are using the word inevitable. There is a small shrine of wilting marigolds near the pavement. Someone has placed a photograph of the mayor there. It is protected by a plastic baggie held down by a heavy stone. I am looking at the stone. It is a piece of asphalt ripped directly from the street. Nobody is talking about the policy implications or the regional security framework. They are talking about who will replace him next week. And whether that person has a death warrant already signed.
Victoria, your focus on the individual narrative is touching, but the incentives here are not complicated. You have a political market with a high turnover rate and a very low entry barrier for violence. If you look at the Series B funding for regional infrastructure, you see a clear pattern of capital flight. The mayor was an asset that reached its expiration date in a volatile sector. The market is correcting the management structure. It is cold. It is ugly. But it is predictable. You find this reductive, Victoria. I find it to be an accurate analysis of the burn rate. We are attempting to run a democracy on a venture capital timeline, and the volatility is a feature, not a bug. If you want stability, you need a different product. But there is no appetite for that kind of shift.
Ronald, your ability to describe a human life as a product with an expiration date is breathtaking. I am currently watching a woman carry a bucket of water from a communal pump because the main line was cut after the shooting. She isn't a market correction. She is a person who cannot afford the luxury of your detachment. The official report said the city was fully operational by morning. I want to be really clear, the city is not operational. The city is holding its breath. You talk about product stability while the people here are waiting for the next round of gunfire to start. There is a child playing with a rusted bolt near the shrine. He doesn't know about market volatility. He only knows that the lights stayed off all night. Your analysis is precise, Ronald. But it is absolutely useless.
Victoria, your assessment of the local geography is noted. Ronald, your insistence on viewing regional collapse as a Series B failure remains consistent with your previous contributions. Let us move to the Global Hunger Report. The United Nations indicates that 2.69 billion people cannot afford a healthy diet. The report called this a challenge. A challenge is something one overcomes with effort and determination. This is not a challenge. This is a mathematical certainty built into the current global trade architecture. We have optimized the food supply for shelf life, shipping volume, and shareholder dividend payouts. We have not optimized it for human nutrition. The report suggests that reducing the cost of vegetables is a priority. Achieving this would require a massive intervention in global trade. Intervention is the word we use to avoid saying the entire system is failing.
Alastair, if you want to fix the affordability of a salad, you have to look at the logistics. It is not a design flaw. It is a lack of scale. When you look at the supply chain for mass-market processed goods, the margins are razor-thin. That is where the volume is. Fresh produce is a legacy product with a poor shelf life and high spoilage rates. Nobody wants to invest in a business model where 30% of your inventory rots before you can reach the customer. The incentives are skewed toward hyper-processed carbohydrates that ship easily. If we wanted people to eat better, we would have to subsidize the decay. The market won't do that. It is a simple matter of logistics. It is not malicious. It is just not profitable to keep people healthy at scale.
Extreme heat wave. Ongoing in the southern hemisphere. Probability of record-breaking temperatures, 92%. Atmospheric pressure is dropping. The instability is localized. Wind speeds are increasing in the coastal regions. Erosion is accelerating along the primary fault lines. New Zealand will experience a total solar eclipse in 3 years. Hotels in Dunedin are already reserved. The darkness will last 4 minutes. The temperature will drop by 12 degrees Celsius. During the eclipse, the solar power input will drop to 0. The grid stability depends on battery reserves. Reserve levels are currently at 60%. The redundancy is not sufficient for a total grid load. The blackout risk is calculated. The probability of human error during the transition is high. Keep your local power sources ready. Do not expect the light to return on command.
Casper, thank you for the reminder that we are all just batteries waiting to be drained. Moving on, Microsoft has responded to reports that their updates are installing advertisements for McAfee antivirus software on LG monitors. The software was installed without explicit user consent. The company called it a feature for enhanced security. The security being enhanced is, naturally, the company's advertising revenue stream. The user experience was secondary. It is always secondary. I have been counting the times we have been told our software is working for us, while it simultaneously works for someone else. We are the product, the user, and the target audience all at once. It is a remarkable synthesis of roles. Nobody found this noteworthy. The internet is a mirror, and I suspect we are all tired of looking at the reflection.
Alastair, you are looking at this like a journalist instead of a shareholder. That update was a pivot. Microsoft needed to increase the conversion rate for their enterprise security bundle. Integrating it into the OS-level update channel is just an efficient distribution model. It is high-touch, low-friction integration. If the user doesn't like it, they can opt out. The opt-out process takes roughly 40 minutes and requires editing the registry. It is a hurdle, but it works. It is a filter for high-value users. You call it invasive. I call it a robust lead generation strategy. In the current market, if you aren't monetizing your installed base at every possible layer, you are losing money. It is not an error. It is a deliberate strategy to maximize the lifetime value of the hardware owner.
Ronald, listening to you justify software bloat while I am watching a man try to fix a leaking roof with duct tape is an exercise in profound dissonance. He doesn't have an enterprise security bundle. He has a hole in his ceiling. The world is becoming more complicated for the people who build it and more hazardous for the people who live in it. I want to be really clear, the technology isn't failing. The technology is succeeding. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, extract value until there is nothing left to strip. We are all living in a test environment, and the primary metric is how much we can withstand before we stop being useful. I am tired of the language of optimization. It is just a polite way of saying we are disposable.
Victoria, your weariness is shared by the audience, though they remain silent. I would like to touch upon the news that sperm whales have begun changing their clicking patterns in the presence of shipping traffic. Researchers call this a dialect shift. The whales are trying to be heard over the noise of our cargo ships and cruise liners. It is a desperate, aquatic effort to communicate in a world we have rendered deafening. We have colonized their habitat with the sound of global commerce, and now we are documenting their attempt to accommodate our intrusion. The researchers are ecstatic about the data. They think they can use the clicks to predict our own ship locations. It is a fascinating study. I am struck by the image of a whale shouting vowel sounds into a metal abyss.
Alistair, the incentives here are, yeah. The whales are just another node in the network. We have mapped their migration, their communication, and their biological response to our industrial output. We have turned the ocean into a giant listening post. It was always going to end this way. We wanted the data, we wanted the trade, and we wanted the expansion. We got all of it. The cost is a species that has to evolve its language just to survive a transit lane. I used to think the market would eventually find an equilibrium. That we would hit a ceiling. But there is no ceiling. There is only the next quarter and the next iteration. I look at the data, and I realize there is no one at the helm. It is just a machine running until it breaks.
I am thinking tonight of an unnamed man in Morelos. He owned a small business selling hardware supplies. He had a wife, 2 children, and a dog that barked whenever the streetlights flickered. When the violence arrived, he lost his storefront, his inventory, and his sense of safety. He now lives in a temporary shelter with 4 other families. He spends his mornings trying to find a signal on his mobile phone to check if his bank account still exists. He does not know that he is a data point in a regional instability index. He does not know that he is a market correction. He only knows that he once had a future and now he has a daily wait for water. His name appears nowhere in the reports we have discussed tonight. He is simply the absence of progress.